Hi, darling. How are
How you
you?
doing? Welcome to Call Your Mom. My name is McKylin, and this is my mom. Mom, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Holly.
Okay.
And okay, so I'm jumping right in because I haven't talked to you since our last podcast. We texted a lot, but so I was excited to talk to you. Have you had
We
a new
talked.
haircut?
I did get a new haircut.
It looks
I
amazing.
I was gonna do it before Valentine's Day, and then I had to run other errands, and I don't like getting haircuts. I don't enjoy the process. I hate just sitting there and have to ask that, like, you have to be so specific with them because like they'll change. I hate the process of haircuts. I don't find it relaxing. It's like a real chore to me.
See, I think that means you haven't found your person. Uh,
No, even if it's a good part, like I just it's such a to do.
Okay, so I'm kind of curious about this because I feel like women, we find like a hairstylist. Like I've probably had three hairstylists in the last 20 years. Like we
Mm-hmm.
find our person. It's a little bit like our most important relationship in life. We find our person and then we stick with that person. I feel like guys, you'll just go to anybody. Like you'll just chop around.
Yeah, I mean, I did just walk past this guy, and I was like, I need to get a haircut. It's been, I think, over a month. I think it's been like 2 months since my last one. I was like, I gotta, okay, just do this. It's like, and the guy was, I could see the guy sitting in the chair, so I knew that he was open. So I was like, all right, just go. I hate it. I hate the whole. I just sit there and
But your hair
stare.
looks great. So now will you go back to that same guy or was it just happenstance? Like why don't you seek
Yeah,
out the same person so you have a consistent experience every
well,
single
because
time?
I don't go consistent. I don't go consistent enough to like think about that. So it's kind of just like whenever it's easiest, but then I don't know. I don't like it. And sometimes I've gone to the same place, and then the guy who did my hair last time is busy, and his next opening is in like an hour, so I can't do that. And I've already committed to getting the haircut, so then I get it by somebody else in the same salon or but whatever it's called, barbershop, and then it's a different type of haircut, and it looks like crap. And I'm just like, ugh, this is now I have to just go to this one guy if I go to this salon and then or this barbershop. I keep saying salon. I go to this barbershop. I have to go to this one guy, and if I don't go to this one guy, I gotta like, and he seems to be busy, so now I have to make appointments, and I gotta go out of my way to make an appointment. I hate it. I don't like it.
Okay, so I'm really cracking up inside because this sounds to me exactly like how men and women are different in relationships. Like we seek out quality and a partner that's long term and that we know what we're getting and that person treats us
That
the
is
right way.
no. That
And
is
men are just like, oh, this looks easy. This looks great. This looks, brr, brr, brr. And then you're not getting consistency. You're not getting a good product. And then you're not ultimately happy. So I feel like this is a page that you could take from women of a commitment in a
oh
hair
my god.
relationship.
You guys love to pat yourselves on the back by how thoughtful you are over men. We get it. Women are more thoughtful. Oh, great. Age old tale.
Tale as old as time is how we would say that.
Age old tale also works.
What? Does it?
It's an age old tale.
No, it's a tale as old as time. You're not even saying that right, honey.
Those can both be true. I wasn't even trying to say the same.
You just
See,
made it up.
this is what haircuts do to me. They make me frustrated. I don't. It's a dumb process.
Well, anyway, your
Here's
hair
my
looks
thing.
great. So
I
maybe
should
go
be able
back
to
to
do
this
it
same
alone.
guy.
Yeah. Well, I want to go back to the same guy, but then what if the guy's busy? I think I don't like it because with most other self, I like being able to just do it myself. But you can't do a haircut yourself well, really. I don't
Yeah.
think.
I honestly believe that during COVID, during the dark period, the thing we found that we could not live without was A, human companionship and connection, and
Yeah.
B, hair care, hairstylists, hair cutters, hair colorers. I remember being stuck in the WNBA bubble for 3 months. And, COVID had been going on for 4 months. Then I'm stuck in the bubble for 3 months. So
Mm-hmm.
I went 7 months without a haircut or hair color or anything,
Yep.
which in woman years is like dog years. That's like 21 years with no hair, anything. And so I was like coloring my own hair in the bubble and then it turned orange. And then I tried to put some toning purple shampoo. So if you ever go back and look at old footage of me in the
I've
WNBA
heard of the
bubble,
toning purple. Yeah.
Yeah, I had some accidental purple, and I would work games with accidentally purple hair, and it was the wild wild west. We were all like helping each other color our hair in the bubble. Like I helped players color their hair. It was
See,
it was crazy.
I think that's all a part. You know, we're talking about men and women. I do think women have. I have a conspiracy theory that at some point along the line, somebody, some capitalist guy, was just like, "Oh, if we just make every part of being a woman need like an expensive thing, then we can just like that's how we can get money from because like men, you know, you give them cars and blah 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 blah." And it's like, what if we just like every single aspect of like you need to have good shoes, you need to have a nice purse. Your pants don't have pockets, so you definitely need to have a nice purse, but you have to have great pants. And then also you have to look a certain way, and you have to get your hair done a certain way. Blah 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 blah. And some capitalist somewhere was genius, and he was just like, if we just get all of the women to just have to do all of these things, we'll make so much money. And all these companies just like burst out of it. Conspiracy theory corner,
Oh, my darling.
because
You
it's so
just
much stuff.
you've just opened the Pandora's box of social psychology and how you're calling it some capitalist man somewhere, and I would say
I
it's
never said
men.
man. I just said a person.
Oh, capitalist. No, it's that every part of being a woman has been curated because women have to be attractive and women have to fit into these boxes and they have to look a certain way. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think women do some of this to ourselves because we
Mm-hmm.
want to fit in or we want to feel good about ourselves or confident. But it's what society and the world is telling us you have to be as a woman, and
Mm-hmm.
then you beat yourself up and you're on a hamster wheel of trying to keep up with that
You got to do this. You got to do
objectification of
that.
what it is to be a woman, right?
And you have to pay for every like you gotta
It's
wax
exhausting.
lift, shave. Just you gotta get your hair a certain color. You gotta do your eyebrow. It's just and it like it's not cheap. Like
Well,
a full
thank you for noticing that it
once
is
over.
super stressful and expensive, and there's a lot of societal pressure on women to look a certain way. It is
Yeah.
hard. So
And you
I
have to
hope
take a
that
whole
makes
afternoon out for it too.
right.
It's not just you don't just like do it quick. I need an hour to go do something. If you want to get your hair done, you can't get your hair, your nails, your feet, and your face done in the same day because they all take like 30 hours. It's
No,
ridiculous.
I have had this business idea for years
Like a
because
one-stop shop.
I'm super busy, and you're right. It's like I've got to drive here, but I've got to schedule my hair color appointments 6 weeks in advance, and then my schedule might change, and then your nails, and then blah 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 blah. So
Mm-hmm.
I've had this idea for years of a chair that you can sit in where they're doing your feet, your hands, your hair. Maybe it would be hard to do hair and facial at the same time, but like you just lay there and it's like every single thing and you're in and out in 1 hour. That would be the best business ever.
Here's okay. I like this business idea. I have a couple of thoughts. Number one, can it be done well?
Well, the
Is the chair doing it all, or do you
the
have
technicians
specialists?
are who we would, the technicians are what we would say the people. So I feel like technicians that do your hands and feet, they do sometimes work together, so they can do that. I
Mm-hmm.
have typically found that people who do hair color and haircuts, I don't want to say they're more high end, but it maybe takes a little more skill, or I don't know if it takes more skill, but that's what is
I
maybe
don't know.
socially expected, or because it just
I
is a
don't know.
lot more expensive to get your hair colored and cut than it is
There's a
to get
lot
your nails
more.
done.
It's a lot of chemistry and
Yeah,
stuff going
yeah,
into hair.
it's hard.
The haircut and coloring stuff it's ridiculous. So
So when you were a kid,
yeah.
obviously you have ethnic hair, and I would try to teach myself how to cut your hair to save money because we were poor. And so I remember buying, like cheap little $14.99 clippers.
No.
And the very first time I did it, I didn't know that there was a guard. There's a little plastic guard that goes over the razor. So when I did it, I cut you right down to the skin, and I think I even cut your skin a little bit until I learned how the clipper worked. But I did cut your hair for a long time when you were growing up. We did try to give you some straightening perms the Halloween you wanted to be Harry Potter.
Yes,
I
tough
don't know if
Halloween.
that's like socially horrific or not, but you wanted to be Harry Potter so bad, and your little fuzzy hair was not going to be straight Harry Potter hair. So you begged me to perm your hair.
Yeah, I wanted the straight hair. It does speak to, you need black superheroes and black heroes in
So you
media.
could grow
That
up
does
looking
help.
like, yeah.
It does help. I can only be Men in Black so many times in a row. But also, yeah, the straightening hair I did. Well, I mean, have I told the story on the podcast about the lady when I did the Harry Potter costume?
Be more specific.
There was one Halloween. You were out of town because usually I was during football season. So I went to Halloween with a family friend or something. I can't remember, but I was really young. I think I was like 10 or 12, maybe. And I went as Harry Potter, and I didn't do anything with my hair. I just wore glasses, and I had all the Harry Potter gear, and just did the little zip, whatever.
Scar.
And so when we went from house to house, there was one woman who was just like, "Who are you supposed to be?" And I was like, "Harry Potter," and she's like, "Harry Potter's not black."
Oh, yeah, you've told that story, but
Yeah.
it
Here's my
annoys me
thing.
every time.
I get frustrated by it because that just means like when I come to New York, people are like, "What are you? Dominican, Native American?" Like, there's all these different things, but then everything gets filtered down to black. The less you're around brown people. First, second, why do you have to say that to a child?
Yeah, let's not say that to a child is really my takeaway from that story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So haircut. Would you like to know what I've been doing?
I was gonna ask, but if
Well, I
you're gonna
was
shame
waiting.
me,
No, I was waiting.
it's called a
It's softball
conversation.
season. It's softball season. I got to go to softball this week, and as you know, that's Mom's happy place.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a big tournament. ESPN has a big tournament in Clearwater, and I think I went to 8 softball games in the last 4 days.
Wow.
I worked 4 of them, and then I got on a plane. I worked a game. It was so cool. I was at doing UCLA Alabama softball game,
Okay.
and had to rush from the field, get a plane, and go to UConn at South Carolina women's basketball. And sold out crowd. South Carolina has a 71 game home winning streak.
Wow.
And guess what happened?
They lost.
They lost. And
They're having a
UConn,
tough season.
they are having a tough season. So for any normal team out there, you would be like, oh, 3 losses, they're still having a great year. But South Carolina went undefeated last season. So for them, 3 losses is like the end of the world.
Yeah.
But I think the bigger story coming out of that is UConn, who, has been the standard in women's college basketball forever.
Yep.
11 national championships.
Crazy. Gino.
They have not won for a while. I will say this, Paige Beckers has gotten to the women's Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2 of her 4 years. I got to look this up, but I'm pretty sure it's 2 of her 4 years that she's been healthy. Every year she's been healthy, she's gotten her team to the women's Final Four. And AZ Fudd was healthy this week, and she went off for 35 points. No,
AZ
28
Fudd.
points.
What a
AZ
name.
Fudd. Yeah, she's actually named after Jennifer Azzi, that was a phenomenal player for Stanford and the Utah Stars, who you went to the Utah Stars game when you were 1 year old. You were a baby.
I did. Whatever happened to the Utah Stars? They just...
So, fun story. They moved from Utah. The franchise went to San Antonio, became the San Antonio Stars. Had a great run there. Becky Hammond was their star.
Nice.
Sophia Young. They had good players there. And then that franchise became the Las Vegas Aces.
Interesting.
Did you not know that?
I did not know that. Wow.
There you go.
Good for them. I feel like I wish that there was still a Utah women's team. What? Come on, Utah, get it together.
I know. I wish there was a WNBA team in Utah. I loved going to those games. WNBA is expanding. They're getting more teams, so it's cool. Okay. Speaking of basketball.
All right. Yep.
Okay. So, anyway, I just wanted to put a bow on Mom's weekend. It was epic. I just love going to arenas where they had 17,000, almost 18,000 fans there on a Sunday afternoon for women's basketball. I just freaking love it. So amazing. And UConn played great. And it was refreshing. I've done a few UConn games this year on the road. They lost at Notre Dame. They lost at Tennessee. And they just didn't look like themselves. So I was happy to see UConn those young people get some confidence and play up to their potential and have a successful experience. So, but my takeaway is March Madness is going to be crazy. Crazy.
Cool.
Yeah.
A little crazy March Madness.
A little crazy. So softball season started. Got to see the girls, or as you call them, your summer moms, Beth Mowens, Michelle Smith, Jessica
Oh, yeah.
Mendoza. So I saw
Yep.
your summer moms. We had a great
Shout out to them.
I actually went out to dinner with them for Valentine's Day. So
Cute.
there's
How
that.
was that?
That was lovely.
Where'd you guys go?
A really great place in Clearwater called Villa Galace.
Okay, question. I have Clearwater questions. Did you see like the Scientology? Isn't that like the Scientology headquarters?
Yes,
Clearwater?
so downtown Clearwater, there is a massive Scientology complex, I would call it. Yes, I have seen that.
Fascinating. Okay. Are there like people around, or is it?
Yeah, there's lots
you
of
gotta
people
just
around.
keep it moving. I mean, like people around, like the Scientologists around.
How would I know that, honey? Do I walk
I
up
don't
to
know.
people and say, "Hello, excuse me,
You
ma'am, are you a Scientologist?" How would I know that?
maybe you interview people for a living. I don't know. You could.
I rarely just interview people walking down the street. That's kind of.
This is true. This is fair. I'm just like, I wonder if there's like a vibe there. You know.
There was another really interesting thing I saw in Clearwater too that was odd. Not odd, but just like I wasn't aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there are acres and acres and acres, miles and miles and miles of mobile home parks of people who come down to Florida to retire, and they live in these mobile homes and kind of like retirement mobile home communities, but there's like thousands of them. And then outside was a laundromat, a bingo parlor, a dance hall, a liquor store, and a grocery store. And I was like, people are just coming down here to live in the middle of a big field of mobile home trailers. It was very interesting.
I mean, hey, it's community.
That's what I wondered is as you get older, you want to be around people like you that are retired, maybe similar interests or whatever.
Yeah,
But
just hang out with people.
But
and then just like
retirement, just bingo, dance hall.
Yeah, I think that sounds great.
And laugh around with your friends.
Yeah, that's the dream.
But it was wild. It was like thousands of mobile homes. I just had never seen anything like it.
It's a little mobile home city.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
That's very cool.
Okay, let me ask you another question. I was curious. It was the NBA All-Star game this weekend and all the festivities.
It was.
Did you?
I did not know.
Okay, so that answers my question. I was going to ask you if you watched any of NBA All-Star Weekend.
Nope. I think, you know what? I saw a clip and I thought it was old. And I was like, wow, how have I never seen this before? Now that makes more sense that it was recently. It was some kid did like a dunk where he jumped over a car, grabbed the ball from somebody coming out of the sunroof and dunked it and landed.
Yes, that's Mac McClung. And actually, nice. you know Mac McClung. He played at Texas Tech. I covered his games in college. You've probably met him at the Big 12 tournament when you've gone with me to the Big 12 tournament.
Good job, Mac McClung.
Mac McClung, Mac, M-A-C, like you, Mac McClung.
Nice.
And so I guess that you've kind of answered my question because this is the first time in my adult life, maybe in 25 years, I did not watch 1 second of the NBA All-Star Weekend. Not 1 second. And I've wondered, has it lost its appeal, or are people of your generation even interested in that right now? Because
I can't speak.
It felt like it was kind of a flat non-starter this year.
You know, I think the NBA has they got some issues because it's just not, unless like you pick a team. Like I've been kind of following some Knicks stuff, and like if there's a Knicks game on, I'm like kind of interested, just because I live here and I know a lot of Knicks fans, and they had a great year. But I feel like it's just not.
And your mom loves Jalen Brunson. Your mother is obsessed with Jalen Brunson, so you should support the Knicks for Jalen Brunson. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. And Jalen Brunson, he's there. Trae Young looks terrible. I don't get what's going on with his hair and his beard. Okay, now
if I were you, I would not criticize Trae Young because he has hair just like yours. He has hair just like yours.
I know.
He's got a white mom, a black dad.
I get it.
We're actually friends with them. Candace Young and I are good buddies.
They're great.
I've been to their home, and play Jeopardy with their family. They play Jeopardy every single night together as a family.
I love that, and it's okay. How do I say this, Chris? You're getting paid millions of dollars. You don't just have a guy to do something.
Oh my gosh, we just started the podcast with this. Of course he has a guy. You're the one that doesn't
That
have
he
a
has a
guy.
guy that does all. I don't have millions of dollars. I don't look like a Q-tip. Like he.
You have Q-tip potential, McKylin. When
I
your hair
do.
grows out like his is, your hair looks just like his when it grows out. He
Okay.
has mixed race hair that can be fluffy and
And
awkward.
it is unkempt. It is wild.
So you just want his hair to be better groomed?
You have millions of dollars. You have all this money. Why? Is it like a super? I really am wondering. Is it like a superstitious thing? Does he just like it that way? Because you have all this money to like, like on your tour bus or your bus going from thing to thing. Hey, we got a trim up guy. Or like something. Just to shave, just shave. It's patchy. It's all patchy.
Okay, I just find this hysterical because you also suffer from patchy beard. Like if you really turn to the
And I
camera right
shave.
now,
I'm
you're
shaved.
patchy.
This is shaved.
Your
I've
beard does
shaved.
not connect. You have the exact same problems he has, honey.
And I shaved, and I don't make millions of dollars a year. I'm not on TV like 2 or 3 times a week. It's just I'm like, is it a superstitious thing? Why is he doing it? Because it's a choice. At that point, it's a choice.
Well, I'm just saying, I think you should have some kindness and understanding in your heart
I
because
do.
he has textural hair challenges like you do.
I think you're looking at this like it's a disability, and I'm looking at it like you're a person who has millions of dollars, so you can do something about it, and you've chosen not to, and that's fascinating.
Oh, I don't like it when we criticize other people, but
I'm
I
not
understand
criticizing
what you're
him.
saying. I'm understanding what you're saying.
I want to know
Why?
why.
The whys of it. Okay, I get it.
Why? It's not. I mean, hey, I bet you take a shower, it looks fine. But like during the game, it just looks like
Because
wild.
when you sweat, stuff happens to your hair.
I was only paying attention during the warm-ups, and it was wild. And I was like, "That's interesting. Is he doing this on purpose?" Because I know the struggle, and sometimes it's just like I don't want to deal with it. Leave it alone. I get
Right.
that.
Okay, so what I'm going to do for the podcast, and I'm going to send these to our producer, Robbie. I actually have some baby pictures of when Trae Young is a baby that his mom shared with me when he was in college at Oklahoma. And then I have some baby pictures of you, and I'm going to put them side by side and show our listeners and our viewers that you and Trae have the exact same hair challenges. So
no, we don't. We don't have the same hair challenges because I just got a haircut. And I don't make $1 million trillion a year.
Okay,
he does.
I hear what you're saying. Let's move on. Okay.
I am curious. Trae, I'm curious. I just want to know what the deal is. I get how hard it is to have this hair, and I hate haircuts too. Talk to me, Trae. Just give me answers.
Yeah,
You're a great basketball player.
Yeah, and he's a very nice young man.
And he seems like a great guy. I love him. He gets booed all the time for some reason. I remember seeing that.
No, I like him.
He's awesome.
So I don't know why he is so what do they call that one? Polarizing. That's the word I'm looking for. Polarizing.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
People either love him or they hate him. I feel like there's no in between.
Yeah, I think he's a good basketball player.
Yeah,
he's a star. Like he's not just on the Lakers like every other star. Like he's led his team pretty well. Like he seems great. So that's why I'm asking. In all that greatness, is there a method to the hair stuff, or do you just not care?
Okay. Well, we'll try to get to the bottom of that. We'll send him a message and see
Let's ask him
if we can get some answers. You're hysterical. Okay. This podcast took a very different turn than I was planning today, but you're cracking me up with the hair stuff. Okay, I did want to talk to you about one other thing that happened. So neither of us engaged with the NBA All-Star Game this weekend. In full fairness, I was really busy with softball and my women's basketball stuff.
Yeah.
That was great. So
wait, let's talk about softball a little bit more. So you said you went to 8. Yeah,
because I wanted to, because I fangirl. I want to go and watch other teams. So they had, I should know this and I don't. It was like maybe 12 teams or 12 or 14 teams all at the same place. And so I would say half of them are ranked. So I
Yeah.
went and watched Florida State. I went and watched UCLA. I went and watched San Diego State because they're kind of an upset, exciting team right now. They're upsetting a lot of people. I watched
What
Wichita
was the name
State,
of them? Who?
San Diego State.
San Diego State. Cool.
Yeah. You've heard of the city San Diego?
Saint Diego. I think
San
it
Diego.
means a whale's vagina.
Oh, okay. That was my next thing I wanted to get to. Speaking of Will
Okay.
Ferrell, that's an Anchorman joke if you didn't get it.
I
So,
want to just a little cut because this will come up later. I always think about this, and I feel like you weren't. Maybe it was like this for you when you were in school, but there was a period of time where between it was either Hot Rod, Step Brothers, or Anchorman. I think those were kind of the big ones, and Napoleon Dynamite, where the funny guys are like there was a group of guys that were actually funny, and then there was the common funniness where it would just be like a group of your buds and you'd just be hanging around quoting that movie nonstop, and it would just be like you would hear. I remember Hot Rod was a big one for me, and when I first started high school. Did you have anything like? Would you guys do that when you were in high school?
oh yeah, for sure, because we didn't have the internet, Tony. So all
Well,
we had was
we didn't really
movies
either.
and television, and so we would, instead of memes,
Mm-hmm.
we would do memes in person. So you
Yeah,
know how now
that's what
you'll
I'm saying.
send your friends a meme and be like, ha ha ha, this is so funny. Well, we didn't have the internet or cell phones, and so we did all that stuff in person. And so
Mm-hmm.
we would have inside jokes. We used to pass. This is a wild thing that a lot of kids may not know. We used to pass notes in class.
That's a known. That's a known thing. We used to do
Did
that.
you do that?
I'm
Even
at the
pre cell
cusp.
phone?
Yeah, I'm at the cusp. So cell phones got introduced while I probably like texting and being online became a big thing like right at the end of middle school, beginning of high school. So I had a little bit of best of both worlds.
Okay, yeah. So we had to do it in person. So yes, we would sit around and quote movies. I
Yeah.
mean, we had all kinds of inside jokes. You know, David Letterman was really big when I was younger, so we would
I
always
love him.
quote funny stuff on David Letterman. Yeah, we would do all that stuff, but it was your generation's version of sending memes. We did all of that in person, face to face.
It's I was talking about this at brunch. It's gotten weird. It's the amount of the humor. So I personal trained this 13-year-old, and he'll quote stuff to me or tell me about stuff, and I'm just like, it's gotten so because you're just everybody has a niche, and like there's just like these groups that emerge from like there's like a whole
It's
thing called like
algorithms. It's
it's but like these kids who don't want that. It's the creativity. I kind of take back all the bad some of the bad things I say about like the younger generations than me. There is a creativity there. There's something called Skibbity Toilet where they like make it's like the ultimate trolling of like you just make the dumbest song possible and make a video of a toilet singing it or something. It's wild.
Skibbity Toilet.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
Wow, I'm not up on Skibbity Toilet. That's interesting.
It's
But now I don't
madness.
want to pull it up on my phone because then my phone will feed me lots of Skibbity Toilet content.
Well, you got to stay with the. I mean, you cover college kids, so you got to stay relevant, or at least know what they're talking about. You know?
Huh.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
That
But
is interesting.
yeah,
Well, the creativity, I give you a lot of points for that. The younger generation, people are hysterical and creative online. So, you know, there's this
yeah.
big controversy right now about the new president has decided that instead of the Gulf of Mexico, it should be called the Gulf of America.
Mm-hmm.
I find this just beyond ignorant and ridiculous because we basically stole the southern half of the United States from Mexico. So
Anyways, yeah.
revisionist history, but whatever.
Well, who
But
cares? Yeah.
anyway, without getting into too much political consternation, it's really stupid,
Big word.
and
Yep.
it's now been changed on a lot of the like Google and Maps and all these things. It's been changed to the Gulf of America, which is just so obnoxious. It
Fascinating.
makes
Yeah.
Americans everywhere look ridiculous. But I saw this.
We also just got a new Gulf, so I'm just saying, take your wins.
So you're looking at it as a Gulf half full.
Think about it like if your dad is a megalomaniac, but you get a new pool, you got a new pool.
Uh-huh. I like the analogy.
Hey, I can
Good.
sit. I can sit in wine, or I can be like, "That's a nice pool. I like that pool. That's crazy. What happens down there? Let's check out the Gulf of America."
Okay, I like your optimism, son.
You know,
Anyway, I saw this very funny meme that was going around, and it was a T-shirt basically that said, "But it wasn't assigned Gulf of America at birth."
that's true. Who are we to name these things?
Right?
Yeah, like,
We
dude, we call this America. It's a weird freaking place that's like 10 countries big. We don't know it. We don't own this.
right, but also like it's been the accepted name forever. I just find it the height of arrogance and ignorance, all the unces, to rename it. Anyway, I digress.
I love that. I
Okay,
see. I'm of the camp of.
we got a new Gulf.
Well, I'm of the camp of just. I'm embracing the absurd this year. I think that especially the last three presidencies or whatever, everybody's like, ah, and I'm like, you know what? It's crazy. It's madness. I just need to
Don't get on the roller coaster, right?
yeah, radical acceptance and just like, oh well, if this can be true, that can be true, and also like we don't own any of this land; it's stolen. So like it's things like that where it's just
Right.
like, look at the bigger picture, because every day they want you to be mad. It doesn't affect me day to day. So like, why would I spend a day mad about
Well,
a Google Map
it does affect me today because I'm going to walk out my door right here, our
and
little
look at the
tiny beach
Gulf of
house,
America?
and I'm going to be walking along the Gulf. I'm literally going to put my feet in the Gulf today, but I am going to continue calling it the Gulf of Mexico because I am not ignorant.
Here's here's my here's my big thing. I think that the Gulf of America doesn't roll off the tongue as good as the Gulf of Mexico.
Right.
I think Gulf of America, it's just too many blah, 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 blah. It doesn't sound
Too
good.
many vowels. What
It's
it
a lot of
is too many vowels. Yeah.
yeah. The of is not a strong. It's a soft plosive. You really
Of
want to come in there with a hard plosive afterwards,
like the X, the
you
Mexico.
want Gulf of
Exactly.
Mexico. I like if it was Gulf of America.
Gulf of America.
You know what I mean? Or America. I'm in. I'm back now. I'm happier because it just sounds. It comes off the tongue better. Gulf of Mexico comes off the Gulf of America. It's a mouthful.
It's very vowely. Very vowely.
And also, technically, now I'm thinking about it, that name does make more sense because it's North America and South America. It's the Gulf of the. If it was the Gulf of the Americas, now we're talking.
Oh, right. Like that could have been a way to go. North and South America, the Gulf of Americas. See,
It's
that would
uniting.
have been an inclusive way to rename the Gulf. But guess what we
Exactly.
did? Guess what we didn't need to do? Rename the Gulf.
Yeah, I mean it's probably the most Gulf of Mexico has been talked about by anybody in a while.
In history. In
It's like
history.
no, all. What is it? What's the press saying?
I
All the
don't
press
know.
is good press. There's no such thing as bad press,
Oh, right. Right.
right?
I don't feel like the Gulf needed new branding. I don't think it's like hired a PR firm to get out there and like brand it and all this kind of stuff.
Apparently, it has because the president's been heavily involved. He's making these other
Okay,
apps
so
get involved.
so this brings
Anyways,
me to, since we're on a funny topic, this brings
since
me
we're
to what
living
I
in an SNL sketch,
actually did this weekend was watch the SNL 50th anniversary special.
yes,
So I've taken some notes.
okay,
I don't know if you watched it as well, but I literally took notes because I
I
was
did.
like, I want to ask McKylin about this.
Okay, hit me.
You
You
didn't
got me.
take notes?
I did take notes. Mine aren't great. One of my
I
notes. Can I
literally have
start?
this many pages of notes about the Saturday Night Live sketch.
Oh, nice. I don't have that many. My notes are incomprehensible. My first note is just I love Martin Short with an exclamation point.
Martin Short is delightful.
He's great.
Delightful.
That was when he obviously got taken away by ice at the beginning of the monologue. I That's when
Yes,
I
because
thought
he's
that.
Canadian. It was some Canadian humor. Steve Martin was doing the opening monologue, and he was terrific.
Which I'm just
So,
saying, if we're gonna be taking people out of here, get the Canadians too. Joke. That's a joke. But maybe do. I don't know. Do they have drugs up there? Okay. So the next thing, Kenan Thompson has been on the most. He's been on 44% of the entirety of SNL.
I find him to be very pleasant, very funny. I wouldn't say he's the best performer on Saturday Night Live. He's so pleasant and
Yeah.
he's never bad. Like I've never seen him in a sketch where you're like, that wasn't that funny. He's
See,
never bad.
I think he came along at a time when I think it started to turn to more like we get a star on the show, and like it's a publicity kind of deal where it's like, ooh, you make the star look funny, right? And
Right.
I think he's a great glue guy.
Good call. Yes.
He's a glue guy. He holds the show together. Like,
Okay, well, I'm glad you got to that because I thought that one of the sketches he did was one of the funniest, and it was Black Jeopardy. And it
that's
was
the one I wrote down too. I don't know where my
Black
camera is.
Jeopardy.
Black Jeopardy.
Okay, I love that we have the same sense of humor. So, number one, it was Tracy Morgan, Leslie Jones, who we love. She's a big
Yep.
WNBA fan, and Eddie Murphy. And Eddie Murphy was playing Tracy Morgan on that show or on that sketch. And I just wrote down Eddie Murphy might be the greatest comic of all time. Like his commitment to the character, his delivery of line. Like, is Eddie Murphy just absolutely the greatest?
We've talked about it on here several times. That's my goat. Like him and Will Smith are the people that got me to want to do what I'm attempting to do now. You know,
Comedy.
It was watching Beverly Hills Cop too early.
I know this is another bad mom story. Okay,
no,
so in my defense,
we've told it.
I feel like we should have a bingo card for call your mom, and like every show I have at least one. In my defense of the mistakes I made as a mother,
we've talked about this one. And I think
I let you watch. I actually bought old DVD copies of Delirious because you were you were getting interested in comedy and acting.
Yep.
You know, and you were probably like 14.
It was early.
You were young.
I was young. It was like 11, 12.
Okay. So I'm like, oh,
it might have been like 10.
No, you were not 12. You were not 10 years old. I promise you that. Anyway, I let you watch Richard because I'm like, oh, he's interested in comedy. I'm going to show him some of the great Black comics of all time. So I let you watch Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy Delirious. And it's not until like we're sitting there. George Carlin was another one I let you watch. And we're sitting there watching him. And I'm like, oh, leap. I forgot how nasty these are and sexual and drug inferences. And I'm like, okay, this is probably not appropriate for your age group. So I definitely made a mistake letting you watch some of those things too young.
But it was hilarious. And I think, you know what? I think kids you do need to get exposed to that kind of stuff young because then it makes you have questions. And you know what I mean? Like, because I think when you're underexposed and everything's through a filter of just like kid, this is what's appropriate for you. You never get to. You're not curious because everything is kind of built in your favor.
Right.
But I was 10 years old. Actually, I know exactly how old I was. I was 11. It was 2006. But don't ask me how I remember. But I know that like finding out about doing crystal meth and accidentally setting yourself on fire. You learn that at 11, but then that
crack.
makes
it was crack.
He was smoking crack.
You're welcome. I helped you learn that when you were 11.
Good job. But you learn that, and then you have questions, and and also you're learning that thing is bad because he's talking about it because it's bad. You know what I mean? So it's as opposed to never knowing what crack is, and then some kid, let's say when I'm in like 7th grade, is like, "Hey, you want some crack?" I'm like, "What is that?" Like I already
then you're clear. Like no, that's a clear no because it caught Richard Pryor on fire, and I'm against
exactly.
That. So maybe what I did was a good thing as a mother.
Exactly. When to talk about last week, when a kid is using the N word and he's not black, you can be like, that's not right because I've learned a bunch of stuff about culture and black people and white people.
Right.
Because I think a comedian's not good to learn from when you're an adult because you're an adult and you should know stuff. But I think getting that sense of humor and that exposure when you're young is important.
Yeah, you do have a great sense of humor, and I'm proud that I had played any role in that because you are very funny. All right, here are my other takeaways. I kept rewinding and just watching the audience because the audience...
It's all famous people.
It was insane. Like they would do
Yeah.
cutaways, and I'm like, okay, so here's who I saw in the audience. I'm gonna go through it quickly because it's really like a who's who of anybody. Jerry Seinfeld, Adam Driver, Julie Louis-Dreyfus, Al Sharpton, Cher, Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg, Scarlett Johansson, Peyton Manning, Robert De Niro, Jack Nicholson, Zach Galifianakis, Alec Baldwin, John Hamm, Jason Momoa. I mean, it was just like Emma Stone. It was just like the who's who of Hollywood. Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds. You know, I've gone down the Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds
Yeah.
lawsuit rabbit hole.
They
Like I
talked
have,
about it.
I've
They
continued to be
noted
down
it.
there, and they did have a very, very funny thing where Tina Fey and Amy Poehler are doing, a bit, and he stands up, he has a question, and they're like, "Oh, Ryan Reynolds, how are you?" And he's like, "Good. Why? What have you heard?" And it was very funny. It
Very
landed
funny.
very funny. So I was glad that they went and were funny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my other takeaways were my favorite other sketch was the anxiety video that Adam Sandberg did about how every performer that's ever performed on Saturday Night Live has anxiety. Oh, at Andy Samberg, not Adam. Andy Samberg.
Yeah.
That
I know who you're
guy.
talking about. He's great.
We need more of him in our lives. He is so damn funny. I love that guy.
On the vein of buying me DVDs, you bought me an SNL. You bought me 2 SNL DVD like compilation DVDs.
Right, like the best of.
The best ofs, and I don't think you knew what was on them because one of them had Dick in a Box on it. And I was 12. I remember watching that all the time, thinking it was hilarious.
Oh my gosh, I almost just spit that out all over the screen. Okay, so if you're listening with your children to this, you probably should turn it off for a second.
Google it. What?
So there was a sketch called Dick in a Box, and it's Andy Samberg and Justin Timberlake, and they're talking about what should you get your that's not the Mother's Day one, right?
No, that's the sequel. It's they're just talking about what you get your girl for Christmas, and you get her a Dick in a Box.
And they've got like a box wrapped on the front of their tracksuit. But they're singing it like real like 90s R&B, like you get this game bar.
Yeah, it's great.
It's great.
I love that song.
But then they do a sequel for Mother's Day, and it's Susan Sarandon and who's the other lady that we love, red hair. Anyway, it's 2 moms.
I can't remember.
So they're best friends, and they do a whole sketch and video
I don't think we need to describe every single one.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's called
people might know what it is.
Mother Lover, where 2 best friends end up having affairs with their best friend's mother.
Yeah. And then there's 3-way with Lady Gaga. It's not gay if it's in a 3-way.
It's not gay if it's in a 3-way. Anyway, those little videos might be the funniest thing ever. Okay, so what's my last takeaway? Who is your all-time favorite performer on Saturday Night Live?
That was my number 1. That's the first thing I wrote down. But I said favorite. I said favorite cast.
And who's yours?
I think somebody once, I saw a tweet that said everybody's favorite SNL cast is the one that was in there when they were in high school, and then after that you're like, oh, they're never as good. And so when I was in high school, I think I was in there for like Andy Samberg, Will Forte, Seth Meyers was the Weekend Update host. I think he was the showrunner. Yeah, and I was right at the end of Tina Fey. And then we also got like Jason Sudeikis, Jay Farrow, Bobby Moynihan, Abby Elliott was on there. Jenny Slate was on those years. I'm trying to think of anybody's name. Nassim Pedrad was on there. Chris Cornell. Was it Chris Cornell? Not Chris Cornell. That's he's the singer of Soundgarden. Who? Chris Parnell. There it is. Bill Hader. How did I forget Bill Hader? Maya Rudolph. That was my generation of SNL, which I think was one of the great ones.
Yeah, I think so I grew up in the generation, this is very much going to age me, but when I was younger, it really was the heyday with like Bill Murray, Jane Curtin, Gilda Radner, John Belushi. Like I was in the heyday. So obviously they're going to be my favorites. Lorraine Newman. So I loved them, but I will say that the later women, I think I gravitate towards the women of Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, and Kristen Wiig. I never know how to say it.
Wiig.
I think Kristen Wiig might be the most versatile performer Saturday Night Live's ever had, of all the different characters she did to the highest level. And then I remember reading a book about Saturday Night Live and Eddie Murphy talking about he felt like he was underused and he was frustrated about his experience on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
But watching back his sketches, he was still phenomenal. I thought he was still
I
just
you,
absolutely phenomenal.
well, I think it's one of those things. It's like you have a
Chris
race horse
Farley.
doing.
Chris
Oh, Chris
Farley.
Farley was great. Yeah, that little not Adams. Oh my god, you made me do it. Adam Sandler song that he sung was great.
Right.
That made me tear up. Chris Farley is the best. I love Chris Farley. Huge, huge. Tommy Boy was another big one for me.
Yeah. Well, anyway, okay. So I think we had a good weekend, honey, because it was
We did.
sports, it was laughter, sunshine, softball, all the things. Oh, do you want to get to chaos theory?
Well, you did two of mine. We talked about two of mine on accident.
Okay.
So I
Here's
have one.
mine. Mine is Valentine's do or don't. It was Valentine's Day last week,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to see how did you do. You know, your boyfriend. You're about a year into a pretty serious relationship. There's a lot of pressure on men in Valentine's Day, probably men and women. But I wondered, how did you do for Valentine's Day? Any do's and don'ts to share with the listeners? Did your mother train you well?
I don't think you really trained me for Valentine's Day, but
No, to be like a thoughtful person,
yeah.
gift
Well,
giver, and
I
thoughtful
thought
of
it was good.
people.
I did. So I did a double whammy. I did a scrapbook, and then I did that we can add stuff to together. And then I did a couples massage. I bought her a couples massage. I thought that was pretty good
That's
because
very
it's
thoughtful.
I think the do for sure is just figure out what you guys actually want because I think we
Communicate
did
about
that.
it. Right.
Yeah, because like we had dinner reservations and like to go out and all that stuff, and then we both kind of like realized like, oh, what we want to do is like stay at home and try some new food, like order in some new food and like watch stuff. And now I've gotten into Love Is Blind, and I blame her for that wholesale. And then she got me a great gift of it was matching sweatsuits, which I think are actually I have mine here. It was matching sweatsuits. That's the leg. And then, so mine has a T on the butt
What does that mean?
for Tiffany.
Oh,
And then
cute.
hers has an
Has an
M.
M.
And they're
Oh.
great. They're a perfect color. That was really good. She knocked it out of the park. One don't is just don't make taking photos about you, which is a mistake I made.
What happened?
I was being sassy. We posted on Instagram of the outtakes because I was being difficult. We'd gone to bottomless brunch, so I was a little extra sassy, but just fellas, remember the photos aren't for
Let
you.
the women direct the photo shoot.
Yes,
Just keep your mouth shut and do what they ask.
yeah, just shut up and be happy.
And smile.
Yes,
One
shut
thing
up,
that bugs me
smile,
about
love.
you, every time I try to get us to take a cute picture together, you have ridiculous. You will never just do a normal sweet smile.
Well, because I'm making it. I want it to be fun, and just
You
standing
want it to be
there
funny, so
static.
you'd rather have it be funny than cute. And
I think
I
that
have
is cute.
so often tried to find photos. Like, if anyone ever wonders why we don't send out family Christmas cards, it's because I go through our pictures of the season,
Well, that's
and
not
I
fair.
can't
Don't blame
find
me.
I can't find you having a normal smile in one single picture, so we never send out family Christmas cards. It is your
Well,
fault.
what is normal? That's the question we should be asking ourselves. Um, so yes, that's why. Just take the damn photo. Shut up. Just shut up and take the photo.
Okay.
What's
The other
your
thing
chaos thing?
I learned for Valentine's Day is, like, I'm single. So, sometimes Valentine's Day you can feel like, oh, do I need to be in a relationship? Do I feel sad if I'm not in a relationship?
Uh-huh.
And by some miracle, my algorithm fed me a lot of videos this last week that women who are married die sooner and are less happy than women who are single. So thank you to the algorithm universe. I got a lot of medical information this week that single women are happier. So you're welcome.
That's good. Yeah. That sounds right. I'm sure that those are medical studies done by professionals.
Well, that's what my phone told me, so I'm going to believe it.
And I support your belief. All right. Well, I think we left it all on the field. All right.
Yeah, I'm going to go walk on the Gulf of America. I
America.
refuse to do it.
America.
I'm not bowing down to the crazies. I'm gonna go walk on the Gulf of Mexico, put my toes in the Gulf, and be grateful that I'm alive and that I have a brain and I don't have to let the government tell me what to do because I can make my own decisions.
What
There
a
you
send
go.
off. Happy
What is that?
President's Day. I love you, Mom.
Happy President. I
And
forgot
I'll
it's
talk.
President's
I'll
Day.
talk to you later.
I love you, darling. Goodbye.
Bye. Oh, like, follow, and subscribe.
Good job.
Okay, we did it. Yeah.